Good morning. Thank you, Sarai, and thank you, Professor Laman, for that inspiring message to all of us here. So our next is, I would like to sort of acknowledge the sponsors, as Sarai said. So we will have them up here. They're going to be the speakers, panelists for the first session. So first of all, I would like to invite Hinemaua, who is senior leadership, is from the senior leadership team from the InternetNZ. Next is the Rosemary, who is CEO of aUDA. Thank you, Rosemary. And next is Pablo, who is Senior Director Engagement for APNIC. I would also like to invite the representative of UNESCO, Tatevik, if you are here. She will be here, but the speaking will be done via video message. So thank you, Tatevik, from UNESCO. So they represent our key partners and sponsors, InternetNZ, aUDA, APNIC, UNESCO. There's one that they're not present here, but I would like to acknowledge is the European Union and CAID that also provided support to this specific IGF. So with that due, I would like to first of all invite Hinemaua to give us the first speech. Thank you.
Tēnā tātou, tanu te mihi atu kia koutou, ara ko ngā reo o te moana nui a kiwa, tēnā koutou, kia koe tei, ka nui te mihi atu kia koe, mo tō kōrero i te ata nei, tēnā tātou. So firstly, on behalf of Internet New Zealand, Vivian Maderborn, our Chief Executive, sends her sincere apologies. She's unable to be here today. So I'm sorry, but you've got her stand-in. So hopefully I can give a order now. The other thing is that my other brief was that she said to me, when you come down here, you've got 5 minutes, and can you just welcome them to Wellington? So of course the brief has changed since I've been here this morning, but ka pai, we go with the flow. So Ipurangi Aotearoa is very much proud to be able to support this event. And perhaps I might firstly absolutely welcome you to our whenua. And as I say that, and I was listening to Dame this morning and thinking of, and also the welcome of kotahitanga. And I recently went over to the Asia Pacific IGF Forum. And one of the real stark observations that I noted was actually the missing voice of Indigenous peoples, of tangata whenua. And so one of the, and so I'm quite curious about that. And I'm curious about, as we think about what Dame has shared with us, and we think about kotahitanga, and what's happening here in Aotearoa, where there's a need for collectivity, a need for, in the perspective of Māori, to come together and to unite as one voice. And that had me think about a number of things. One was about, so what does the internet mean, and what does access and equity mean in our participation in the internet and in the infrastructure, for example, in Aotearoa? And how might we as Māori actually bring ourselves together and our voice? So that's the first kind of insight and that, I think about, and what do we as Internet New Zealand need to do? Because Internet New Zealand looks after, we're a CCTLD, so we look after the internet on behalf of New Zealand. So that also means Māori. And that means that we need to be thinking about inclusivity and how we, and how we enable Māori and our people of New Zealand to participate. So that leads some big questions, and I think some work for us to do. And as I was over in Asia Pacific and largely attended, was an Internet Governance Forum, largely attended by the greater part of Asia, but I was thinking, where is the Pacific? Kaya tātou. So I think that's an opportunity as we think about the broader global conversation and how do we connect in the decision-making of internet in these different forums. And so I was quite curious and thought about, well, what does ICANN mean? And that is I only know it as ICANN, but register the domains are, Canadian-based. And that's where decision-making happens. And it also happens in forums like this. So I was really interested in how do we collaborate as a Pacific nation? Also, what does that mean for Māori? What does it mean for Māori connecting with our Pacific brothers and sisters? And how do we actually be a part of the global conversation? And so internet governance was quite an interesting topic that I thought. I really didn't understand it, but what I saw was that from the time the internet started was that it was started as the coming together of technical experts as the internet grew and started, and it was to enable communication. But of course now, as years have come forward, now the world has changed, and now we have to start thinking about the ethical considerations. We have to start thinking about online harm and how do we actually ensure that the voices of people are included in those conversations. And how do we think about AI, artificial intelligence, but also the decision-making and people who are building these platforms and technical platforms. How might we ensure that our ancestral knowledge and our language is protected in these sorts of, in these platforms? So it does create some big questions, but I think some big opportunities for us to really think about what does that mean for us as our different nations and the protection of our ancestral knowledge. But how do we be a part of the decision-making about how that's done? So whether that's about the rules, for example, in Internet New Zealand, we're having considerations at the moment around the .NZ rules. So part of our work is to think about how do we include Māori about when we set those rules to ensure actually it's Māori that are making those, helping us to build those rules. So there's quite a bit of work for us to do in that arena. For Internet New Zealand is that, again, we are thinking quite seriously about our role as Internet New Zealand in Aotearoa and what is the contribution we make to our country. And we have committed, our organisation has committed as to be Te Tiriti-centric. And why is that? Because Te Tiriti or Waitangi is a constitutional foundation for us in our country. And we see that we have a role and a responsibility as an organisation to contribute to who we are as Aotearoa and the part we play alongside tangata tiriti. But we have to really understand that for ourselves, the context of Te Tiriti and how do we play a part in that. So that means acknowledging tangata whenua. It means when we're thinking about our work that we are thinking about how do we include the voices of Māori. So that's the journey that we are on, and we've just launched our strategy and our council, and I want to acknowledge Whetu as well from our council, who's a big driver on our council, so that we set a vision as a company, as Internet New Zealand, for how we are going to become Te Tiriti-centric. And how we build our organisation, but that also means about how we engage differently with our communities and how do we start to reach out in different ways. But the main thing that I really probably wanted to share today was, was really pleased to come here and support, because I did want to understand what our Pasifika brothers and sisters in Whanaunga are doing. And then to think about how do we share our learnings together? What can we learn from you? And I'm really interested in how we might plant some seeds and think about the broader global conversation in the Asia Pacific, could be a starting point, but how do we get our voices to those tables where key decisions are being made? And also not forgetting that there's the WSIS 2020 and then there's the UN. So what does that mean for us as, as the people of our nations? And how do we get our voices into those conversations, helping to set rules, helping to work alongside our tech, our tech wizards who are building these platforms, and help to set, I think, the standards and the ethical standards that Dame talked about. So, look, that's my quick reflections. I'm not sure if that, like I said, as I came here to welcome you, and again, if you want to, if you're here in Poneke and you feel like going for a bit of a walk, then if you just to, where are we? Probably Oriental Bay, just I'm going to point that direction. But there's a Tangi Te Kio. So we've got a beautiful maunga there that is watching over us during this conference. And if you have time and you'd like to go for a bit of a walk, then I would encourage it. That's a beautiful maunga that connects to Taranaki Iwi, Te Atiawa, Taranaki Whānui. And so there's a bit of history and whakapapa and kōrero about this rohe too. So again, just to really welcome you and hope you have a great week this week. Kia ora.
Thank you, Hinemaua. Just for the information for some of us, InternetNZ has been very vital in supporting ICT development in the Pacific for quite some time. I think in probably up 20 years back, they have been supporting us in a similar way. Next would be Rosemary Sinclair. She is the CEO of aUDA. But aUDA has been supporting the Pacific for some time now. And let's give Rosemary time to share with us. Come.
We feel a little more comfortable in this way. Thank you so much for those very warm remarks. And I just really want to say that we from aUDA are absolutely delighted to be here. We very much enjoyed and learned so much from the PacIGF last year in Brisbane. So we're really honoured to be able to continue to participate and be part of this journey and conversation. Our purpose in coming here really is to listen to you and find out how we might be able to contribute. So I wanted to point out my colleagues who have joined me on this trip. There are many of us here, and the opportunity for you to chat with people from aUDA is not limited to just myself. So perhaps if I start at the back of the room, Sabina Fernando, if you wouldn't mind just standing up, Sabina, just very briefly, just so people get to know the aUDA folk. Annalise Williams from aUDA, Jordan Carter from aUDA, Jane Smith from aUDA, and Bruce Tonkin from aUDA. So please take the opportunity to speak to any one of us about ways that we might be able to contribute and help. As I say, our purpose here is really to listen. We're delighted to be part of this multi-stakeholder community. It's a model that we really believe in. It's a model that solves problems much more effectively and strongly than what I call the hub and spoke model, where you send some submission in, you really have no idea what happens to it, and then the answer comes out. That's not very effective, and it certainly doesn't create very much buy-in and commitment for ongoing solutions. So some think that our multi-stakeholder model is a bit chaotic. bit messy. It's all of those things, but it's very effective. One thing that we really do understand is the need for us, in particular, to work hard to achieve the promise of participation. We talk about our multi-stakeholder model. We talk about more participation. There's a lot of hard work that is needed to be done to achieve that promise. That's an area where we feel we could contribute. It's incredibly important, and I first met Andrew at an ICANN meeting, I think. We were in a workshop together, and I just want to let you know that Andrew is a very strong, very effective advocate for the Pacific. That I'm sure is telling you something you already know. But sometimes, it's nice to have someone from a faraway land confirm what you already think. And Andrew has been doing wonderful work in ICANN, bringing a strong message about the need and importance of Pacific participation in all the fora. ICANN is certainly listening, Sarai in particular, and shortly we'll be all meeting Rong. So much promise there, I feel sure. But I wanted to explain, before I finish, a little about aUDA. I'm sure I could go on about aUDA and the .au and what we do in Australia. Bruce can talk to us for weeks about the DNS and technical matters. But I wanted to tell you about aUDA through the lens of our values. I want you to really understand a bit more about aUDA than what we do technically and what we do in Australia. We have 3 values at aUDA, and they are values that we try to deeply live every day. The first value is we contribute. We contribute locally and we contribute globally. So our insight, our knowledge, our resources, our time, our effort, we devote to contributing. The second is we have a deep ethos that we do our work better when we do it together. So better together is our second value. And again, we live that very deeply. We are always trying to find ways to do things together, not to do things for people or to do things to people, but to do things together. And our third value is that we strive for excellence. We don't pretend that we are excellent. We don't ever imagine that we're going to be excellent, but we strive in everything we do to do it the best way that we can. So that's a continual journey of learning and knowledge gathering. It means that we're open to new ways of thinking and new ways of doing, because we're in this state of being and moving towards, rather than feeling that we've arrived and that we're in a stronger position than a position of learning and sharing. So there's much more about those values on our website, but I just wanted to take a small opportunity of your time to share with you the things that drive us and the things that will really underpin the many conversations that I hope you have with us during this week. Thank you. Very much.
Thank you, Rosemary. Our next speaker here from representing APNIC is Pablo. He's part of the senior management of APNIC and he's Senior Director Engagement. Pablo, thank you.
Thank you. Kia ora, tēnā koutou, It's an honor to be here with you today in Aotearoa, New Zealand. APNIC has more than 500 members here, and we're very happy to be with them. Thank you for the great welcome, Fiti, Patufala, also from Internet New Zealand. It is very meaningful for us to be here with you. The weather is not so warm, but your hospitality is the warmest, that's for sure. Deep condolences for the loss of your king, unifying force. Thank you, Sabanaka, for the welcome prayer. And it is impossible to match the welcoming remarks of the first speaker, and how you were so elegant and graceful with very little time to prepare. I don't think I could ever do that even with weeks of preparation. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Sarai and Andrew, for your great work and efforts in putting together the program of the Pacific Internet Governance Forum. It's always a super pleasure to partner with you and PICISOC. I remember our first conversations already a few months ago with Terry and Ellie, with the question of what if we are able to sort of co-locate the APNIC conference with the PacIGF, and now you made it a reality, so that's a really, really good thing. I'm very happy. We really welcome very much when different initiatives converge with the APNIC conference. This is the best way to build community and build bridges between communities. So we are, again, extremely happy to be able to have these things together. We have fellows and participants from all over Asia Pacific, but importantly from Oceania, from the Pacific region. And it's too great to have the APNIC conference with that specific focus, and to cater as best as possible to the Pacific region. Half of the registrations of the conference are from participants from the region, and I hope that participants from this event can also benefit and take value of the APNIC conference. So you're very welcome as well. I think there is no other part of the world where overcoming distance is most meaningful. It's such a challenge, and how the Pacific is working day by day in overcoming remoteness to connect to the world through many means, but one of them via the internet. It is one of the most important technical marvels that humanity has been able to overcome, to beat that distance and connect the Pacific to the rest of the world. And all of these without losing character, without losing culture, preserving traditions, and being able to also, as you mentioned, give a voice and a perspective to the world's discussions, because the voices from here really can add a lot into regional and global discussions, for example, in internet governance. So it's very important that these forums can connect with wider forums, and that your voices are heard and amplified, because there's much to learn from here for the rest of the world. Of course, there is much more work that needs to happen to overcome and complete this challenge of connectivity, and this is part of the reason why we are here. And it's very nice to see a program of PacIGF that has this historical perspective with people that have been working and dedicating their lives for that. And it's so good to see you here. And then from that to sort of solving practical problems and improving, for example, CCTLD operations. And from there, also trending topics of what to do with artificial intelligence, etc. So it's a very beautiful program that you put together, but most importantly, that you brought beautiful people here to one space that is shared with other communities as well. So for us as well, we have a very technical and somehow narrow mission to contribute to the stability of the internet and to contribute with technical capacity building. Again, it's very important to build that bridge with the not so technical community, the policy communities, and the internet governance community. So let's really try to use that space outside to get to know each other a little bit more and try to understand each other a little bit more. So thank you so much, and it's such an honor to have this shared space and convergence between those two conferences. Thank you. Closed.
Thank you, Pablo. Last but not least, we will have our speaker from UNESCO by video message. But we have Tatevik here, who came all the way from Paris, from UNESCO, to be with us. But I'll give her a few moments to introduce our speaker. Thank you, Tatevik.
Morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. And as Andrew said, I'm joining you from Paris. It's indeed very cold. Too cold for me, but I'm very excited, and your energy is very motivating. So just to introduce maybe why I'm here, we started a project on assessing the internet development in 5 South Pacific countries last year. It's a process which was led by the national teams, by national researchers, and by teams of multi-stakeholder teams in each country. And they have produced this, and I see many of you here, and I'm truly grateful for your motivation, your excitement, which was really contagious for me and very exciting. So thanks to your efforts, we have the national reports assessing the development of the internet in these countries, which was made possible through a joint UN SDG fund project on economic diversification in South Pacific. You yourselves have crafted policy recommendations to further improve the state of the internet at the national level. And based on these findings, we have also crafted the regional assessment for the South Pacific, with reflections also on Pacific overall. And based on this, we will have this discussion tomorrow with all of you. It will be led by all of you. And I got to know very exciting and bright people from the Pacific, and I thank you for the warmest welcome I received each time I visited your countries. So thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for your commitment. And I should also extend special thanks to Andrew and Sarai for the excellent cooperation, also to have this space and be part of the Pacific IGF forum. Thank you for that, and I look forward to our continued cooperation in the future and continued joint work. So our speech will be delivered by the UNESCO representative to the Pacific States, who is also the director of the office, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us today. But she has sent her warmest greetings and regards, and her video message, which I would like to request to play. So the video message of Ms. Shamila Nair-Bedouelle.
Honorable David Manuarua, who joined Naomi, named Minority, Kennedy, in the election, the humanity, body, who waiting challenges for the government of law. They still get members of Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Honorable Minister for Trade, Export Group, Michigan, Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, Honorable guests, participants. I really want greetings from the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to address you today. Though primary engagements prevent me from joining in person at this very important Pacific Islands Internet Governance Body. Let me start by expressing my appreciation to the Pacific IGF for organizing this political event. UNESCO is proud to support this forum, recognizing its critical role in shaping the future of digital governance in Māori region. I also extend my sincere gratitude to the community for your unwavering support of UNESCO's initiative across the Pacific Island. Your collaboration is the backbone of our progress. This year's theme, Strengthening Digital Governance and Resilience in the Pacific Islands, is more relevant than ever. It highlights the essential role of digital policy, governance, and mutual cooperation in driving sustainable development and enhancing community resilience. In our interconnected world, these elements are not just beneficial, they are vital. The Internet's global impact is undeniable, but its significance in the Pacific is uniquely profound. As one of the most isolated regions of Earth, the Pacific has faced challenges that the Internet has helped overcome in transformative ways. The Internet has revolutionized this region, empowering its citizens in 3 key areas. Firstly, it serves as a lifeline for remote and disparate communities, bridging distances and fostering global connections. Secondly, it strengthens our resilience against climate change by supporting disaster preparedness and sustainable development. And thirdly, the Internet preserves and promotes our cultural identity, allowing us to share the Pacific stories, traditions, and knowledge across the world. For UNESCO, supporting these transformative impacts, especially in small island developing states, is not just a priority, it is our mission. The challenges of digital governance highlighted by this forum are central to many of our initiatives. One such initiative is the implementation of the Internet Universality Indicators, aUDA, in 5 South Pacific Islands, Fiji, Tonga, Tuvalu, Solomon Islands, and Vanuatu. Many of you here have helped shape these assessments, and we thank you again. This work, part of the Joint Sustainable Development Goals Fund project, is crucial to UNESCO's mission to close digital divide and build an Internet that upholds human rights, is open and accessible to all, and governed by a multi-stakeholder approach, emphasizing gender equality and environmental sustainability. In line with these efforts, UNESCO has prepared the first regional Rong assessment, which will be launched tomorrow during the session we will be hosting. I warmly encourage you to attend. My colleagues who are here with you in this particular event, especially on Saturday, will be happy and delighted to welcome you to that event. This report will serve as a strategic roadmap, providing a comprehensive analysis of the Internet ecosystem across the Pacific and highlighting the need to scale solutions that address the specific needs of served in achieving the sustainable development goals. UNESCO's commitment to the Pacific states goes beyond assessment. Building on the aUDA needs, we are intensifying our efforts to support digital transformation. This includes working with stakeholders to enhance media and information literacy, develop digital skills, and help governments tackle challenges while seizing opportunities presented by artificial intelligence. But our work must not stop there. The Pacific must continue to lead in global discussion on digital government as we approach critical events like the Summit of the Future and the 20-year review of the World Summit on Information Society, known as WSIS, at the UN General Assembly next year. We have a unique opportunity to shape the future of digital governance for the Pacific by the Pacific. It is essential that Pacific voices bringing local and regional perspective are heard loud and clear on the global stage. In the spirit of collaboration, I invite you to join us at UNESCO Headquarters on the 12th and 13th of February 2025 for our global forum on artificial intelligence and digital transformation for the public sector. This forum will address the way to build public sector capacity to effectively leverage AI and digital technology, drawing on the outcomes of the Summit of the Future. As we begin the specific idea, let's harness the power of the Internet to create more inclusive, more resilience, and thriving Pacific region. I thank you sincerely and thank you for all the support you provide to UNESCO. I wish you all a productive and inspiring forum. Thank you very much and wish you good luck for the next days. Thank you.
Just to say one thing, that her speech was recorded and the protocol was observed based on the old agenda, which was changed. So just to let you know, that's how the protocol was observed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that correction. Thank you, UNESCO, for that also inspiring message. We have come now to the end of the session 1. But one more item before you escape. We're going to have a group photo up here with the speakers. But sorry, somebody is pointing outside.
That affects the anything from those people in their line.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, but I think we have 30 minutes before the end of our session. So please make use of that time to, meet the other, and then we'll join the break. Again, please give our speakers and our sponsors a big round of applause. Thank you so much.